Welcome to the Unapologetically Unstoppable Women podcast, the show where ambition is celebrated, not silenced. Lori, Ann, and Angie are your hosts, and each week we dive into real, unfiltered conversations about women doing extraordinary things in their lives and in their businesses. Here we don't shrink to fit expectations or apologize for our success. We share stories that are inspiring, hilarious, and always authentic, because becoming unstoppable isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and join our community of women who know that no is a complete sentence and there are no limits to what we can achieve together.
And these are kind of some of the, I've had to go to my boss and say, I'm not doing this because I was being asked to do something that I thought was unethical. Somebody else might not have thought it was unethical, but I did. And I'm writing a book, and in there I tell the story of where I remember walking to his office and I knew it was a fine line. I knew it was something that not everybody would think is unethical, but to me, it was just wrong. And it was like the longest walk, because I'm like, what if he forces me to do it? Then I'll quit. I mean, I was to that point that I would resign right then and there because I could not do it. They were asking me to cancel an appointment with a smaller client who's been a good client for years and years and years, to go to a pre-sale, trying to sell to a huge client. And I'm like, there are so many other people that can do that. Well, I don't need to. And luckily my boss is a great guy. And he did say, when you put it that way, it does we'll find somebody else to do it. So luckily but I was ready to quit. And that was like, that's what made it so scary. I'm like, how much do I believe in this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I love that you weren't willing to compromise your ethics. That just demonstrates your integrity, because how many times do women, if they're in a job like that, they'll compromise their ethics knowing that it's wrong, but afraid to speak up or stand up or to say no, in fear of, what if I lose my job? Where's my
Right.
safety?
Right. Right. And it's not like I didn't have bills. I had just bought a new house. I had just bought a car, so I mean, I have bills, but I was like,
Mhm.
you know what? If I have, I can't compromise. There are certain things I can't compromise on.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should never compromise our values, ever.
Yeah. Right.
Never. And that's a boundary that oftentimes women can fall into. It's like they'll have a certain value, and something will bump up against it, and out of fear or out of retaliation, or it's like, what if I say no? What if I blow the whistle? Then
Right.
it's like they're going to treat me different. I might get fired. And all the negative things start popping up, and then it leads to being stressed out. Those dread moments, right? Like when you're driving to work and you're just dreading it. Um,
Yes.
right? Like how many times, and it's usually because there's a boundary violation, there's a values violation that is, when it's like, or
Mhm.
someone, maybe your boss is harassing you and you're too afraid to speak up because it's your boss. And who's
Right.
going to believe you over your boss? And
Mhm.
I mean, the scenarios just go on and on and on.
Yes, yes. And I know a couple of women that who are very ill now and have been for years because they didn't know how to set boundaries. And
Mhm.
I don't know why they didn't say no. I'm gonna guess that the one was afraid of losing her job if she didn't
Mhm.
do things that she shouldn't have been doing. Nothing creepy, none of these were creepy, right? And the other one, I think it was to she liked the attention. She wasn't an
Mm,
attention, she's not an attention grabber, but she liked being needed. She liked that somebody that she was worth. I think there was like a worth thing there. Does that make sense? Am I making any sense whatsoever?
yeah. So she was the go-to, and that increased her own
Yes.
self-worth. It's like I'm
Yes.
the go-to. And so then I feel worthy. Now I feel valued. Now I feel important.
Yes. Yes,
Mhm.
exactly, exactly. And it's a shame. I mean, I was raised by a strong mom and I really, really appreciate that. But even knowing that I can set boundaries, there are still times that it's hard and sometimes I don't set appropriate boundaries. And then what happens, Angie? What happens when we don't set appropriate boundaries?
Well, people get mad. They want to retaliate, and then you're the problem. I mean, and so then we get all the crap falls on us.
Right.
And the other thing is, then we get stressed out and we take it all on. And, I'm going to use Lori's famous phrase is stress makes you stupid. And, then you can get sick. And it
Yes.
just is endless and you're miserable.
Yes. There, absolutely, absolutely. And and that stress isn't just making you stupid, it is impacting every aspect of your body.
Hmm.
High cholesterol, poor digestion, the blood flow, when you're stressed, the blood flow even goes away from your reproductive system, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you can
Wow.
fight or flee. And so, women out there who are trying to have a baby, make sure that you and your significant other are doing some stress release here, and setting boundaries is a big thing. A big way to do that is to set boundaries.
Yes. And I view boundary setting as a way of being assertive. It's not
Mhm.
aggressive, it's a way of being assertive. But when women are assertive, then we're a bitch, right?
I was just
Like
going to
we can,
say, you're not allowed to be assertive there, Angie.
yes. I mean, because then we get labeled a bitch. And it's like, no, wait a minute. I'm
Right.
just being assertive. And what's wrong with that? Like, I am speaking up for myself. I'm either advocating for myself, I'm setting that healthy boundary, and I'm just telling you what I will accept and what I won't accept.
Right.
And I have said this. So I was before I was a business coach. Excuse me. I worked in the social work field, and I was always a trainer, but I worked in the social work field. And I had some clients over the years who were very nasty to me, called me names. And I don't know how many times I said, "You do not have permission to speak to me that way." And they'll be like, "I speak to you any way I want." Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, "No, you don't." And I turn around and leave. And the position that I was in was, I was going to write a report to the court about what happened during that interaction. And then all of a sudden, as I'm walking out the door, they're like, "Wait, wait, 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 wait. I apologize. I apologize." And I'm like, ever speak to me like that again, and I will never come back here. And that will be reflected in my report because you don't have permission to speak to me that way.
Right.
And I would tell my other social work friends, and they'd be like, "I'm not doing that," because some of these people were scary. Some of these people were dangerous. And I'm like, no way. I know my self worth. I know my healthy boundaries. I know my values. And I'm not going to let somebody jeopardize that. Certainly not for a job. Like, absolutely not. And so I just set those boundaries. But then it was always they'd go back and they would tell their attorney or they would tell the court, "She's a bitch. She's such a bitch. She was so rude." And I'm like, all I did was say, "You don't have permission to speak to me that way. And if you do it again, I'm going to leave." So I warned them. Then they would
Yes.
do it again. So I just left. I mean,
Yes. And that's
told you
not
what I was going to
rude.
do. That's
And
not
yes,
rude.
it's not rude. That is
No.
that is stepping into your power, which you have every right to do. And Angie, when we don't we get walked all over.
Yes, exactly.
And that's, that's the problem, is once we're step out of our power and we let someone walk all over us, then it just continues, and it gets harder to set those boundaries.
Yeah. Yep.
And we always feel like we have to explain our boundaries.
Oh, no. No. Within the Unapologetically Unstoppable Women podcast, no is a complete sentence. We don't have to explain. If you want to add a no thank you, okay, add a no thank you. But that is a complete sentence. We don't have to explain. We don't owe you a justification. It just is. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Unapologetically Unstoppable Women podcast. If today's conversation fired you up, inspired you, or made you laugh out loud, don't forget to hit subscribe and share this episode with another unstoppable woman in your life. Remember, you don't have to apologize for your ambition, and you never have to shrink to fit someone else's expectations. Keep showing up, keep breaking barriers, and keep living life on your own terms. Until next time, stay unapologetic, stay unstoppable.